everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Monica, and today I want to talk about 13 ways to reduce spending and become a more thoughtful and intentional spender. Okay, so let's dive in. Number one is awareness. Be aware of why you spend. What are the triggers that kind of drive you to spend? So, for example, are you an emotional spender? Do you spend when you're happy, sad, bored, stressed, whatever, but be thoughtful about why you spend. Number two is try committing to a cash-only payment system. Now, obviously, there are times when we have to purchase something or pay for something online and, where a credit card is necessary. But whenever possible, would switching to cash, be helpful? So I know for myself that there have been many times where if I'm using my credit card, I'll just swipe my card and not really be very conscious of what the grand total of my purchase was. Where on the other hand, if I'm paying with cash, I am very aware of how many 20s am I pulling out, how many 10s am I pulling out, and so forth. But handling that cash can make you very, very aware of your spending. Number three, maybe set up a separate guilt-free fun spending account. So if you want to set aside a certain amount that you can spend on whatever you want every month, but maybe put that in a separate account, where the amount that you can spend is limited because you can only pull from that particular account. And then that too can make you conscious of how much you're spending, how much do I have left in my fun account. So another way to kind of, again, increase that awareness kind of thing, and also to kind of put some limits on, how much you can spend. Number four, be aware of sales, marketing, and scarcity tactics. Now, we see this a lot. Either there's that advertisement for huge discounts or going out of business or, whatever that, and you can get some good deals on occasion, but you also need to stop and think about, okay, that product is marked down 90%, but do I really need it? Because if you buy something you don't need, even at 90% off, that's not a good deal, if you don't really need it. So again, be thoughtful about that. And even at huge discounts, do you really need it? Then there's also the time limit restrictions. You can only get this deal if you buy in the next 15 minutes, or you've got to respond in 24 hours, or all those kinds of things. Any kind of time limit pressure like that, raises question marks. Is that really a good deal? And do I really need to do that? And then, of course, there's the quantity tactic. Only one left in stock, that kind of thing, that can try to force you into making a quick purchase. And so be conscious of those things. Yes, if you don't purchase in that time frame or whatever, might you lose out on a good deal? It's possible, but keep in mind and be thoughtful that it may just be a marketing or scarcity tactic trying to get you to spend money, right this minute. Okay. Number five, review subscriptions. And the biggest one that comes to mind for me now is streaming services. That it is so easy to, subscribe to this service and that service. And before you know it, you've got, 4 or 5 or more streaming services that you're paying for on a monthly basis. I myself, am restricting myself to only 2 streaming services at a time. Now, there may be times when, I spot a movie or a particular TV series or something that I want to watch on a different one. So if I do decide to subscribe so I can see that particular movie or that particular TV show, I also, at the same time, am making a note for myself in the calendar on my phone to remind myself, in the next week or at the end of the month or whatever the case may be, to go in and cancel that additional streaming service so that it doesn't become an ongoing thing. I got to enjoy the movie or TV show that I wanted to see, but on an ongoing basis, it's not, part of my ongoing streaming services. So again, be thoughtful about how many streaming services do you have, and do you watch them all on a regular basis? Okay. Number 6, can you do it for yourself, basically? So it's, can you save money by doing it for yourself? So this could be anything from handyman services, or home repairs, lawn care, to getting groceries or food delivered. So like, I know for myself, I've taught myself to do a lot of things around my home myself that I know I can adequately and safely do, rather than just automatically hiring a handyman to do those things. Now, there are things that I will always hire someone else to do. For example, anything to do with electricity, I'm not going to touch it. Absolutely. I just don't feel safe with it. So I am going to pay someone that knows what they're doing. But be thoughtful about that. Can you save money by doing it yourself? And can you safely and efficiently do it for yourself? The thing, so that, you can save money. Because again, all these extra services build up. As far as like delivery of groceries or food, that kind of thing, I realize sometimes there are individuals have mobility issues, or they don't have regular transportation, and those things are necessary. And, of course, they're wonderful in those circumstances and all. But if possible, can you go pick up your groceries yourself? Go, get your food yourself. That can save quite a bit of money. The additional fees and having to tip the drivers and all those kinds of things really can add up over time. So just be thoughtful. Can you save money by doing it yourself? Okay. Number 7, with regard to grocery shopping, make a meal plan for the week, perhaps, and then make a grocery list to go along with that meal plan. Then when you get to the grocery store, commit yourself to sticking to the list. Basically, if it's not on the list, it doesn't go in the cart. Because I know it is so easy to go to the grocery store with certain things in mind, and then, as you're walking past the bakery, or you're, in the meat department or wherever, oh, that looks good, this looks good, and you end up buying way more than you need, or maybe things that you really don't need. Just because you see them, they look tempting at the time. But, that's another possibility, is to make a meal plan, make a grocery list to go along with that, and then stick to the list. Okay. Number 8, use up what you already have before buying new. And this is for things like, I know I've been guilty of this, is, I have always loved like things like lotions and scented soaps and things like that. And when I moved into the house that I am now, and I was unpacking, I kind of really organized all of those kinds of things. And I had no idea how much soap that I probably have enough soap to last me at least 3 or 4 years, if not longer. It's crazy. So it's one of those, kind of really go through and organize yourself and be conscious of how much of something do you already have, and use what you have before you go out and buy new. And this could be anything from, not only those, toiletries and, soaps and lotions and things like that, but, also freezer items or canned goods or something like that. Now, it's probably good to have, some extra on hand, for necessities and things, but think about how much you have and how much more do you need, if any. Okay. Number 9, stick with brands that you already know and love. And again, this is something I've been guilty of in the past. See an ad for a new makeup product or a new skincare cream or something that's going to make you look wonderful and get rid of those wrinkles and all those kinds of things. And so, oh, that looked great. That looks great. Before you know it, you spent $30, $50, $60 on this new product. And if you're like me, inevitably, I'm almost always end up coming back to the same products that I've used for years. And so that's one of my new commitments too, is to stop buying those kinds of things and stick with the products that I know and love. Stop falling for the advertisements, the things. So, number 10, if you're thinking about a new hobby or a new interest that you want to pursue, Think about maybe try before you buy. And what I mean that is, say for example, if you think you're really interested in getting into golfing, well, obviously golfing can be a very expensive sport, and no shade on golfers. That's awesome. I know a lot of people that love it, but this is just an example. But, maybe rather than immediately going out and spending a lot of money on a really nice pair of golf clubs, or I should say a nice set of golf clubs, maybe you borrow clubs from a friend to try it a few times, or you rent clubs at the course you're going to, or, maybe you buy a less expensive set of clubs to try. And then if you realize after you get into it, you realize you absolutely love the sport and, you definitely want to continue, you can upgrade your equipment later. The same one goes, so for example, if you're wanting to start a YouTube channel, you can start with the cell phone you currently have and maybe just invest in an inexpensive tripod and microphone, and you're good to go. Absolutely, go for it. And then if you really get into it and you're really enjoying it and you want to do it for the long term, at some point in the future, maybe after your channel is monetized and you're bringing in some money, then maybe you upgrade your equipment if you want to. But again, think about trying it out on a less expensive budget before you really invest a lot of money to see, is this something you really like and are you going to stick with it? Okay, let's see, number 11, consider a no-buy period. Now, we've probably all seen, a lot of videos on YouTube and such where, people are, committing to that 2026 is going to be a no-buy year. And I applaud those people. That's wonderful. It's not for me. I know maybe it should be, but I know it's not. So, but one thing I do want to try is, a smaller no-buy period, like maybe a no-buy week or a no-buy weekend, or you can even reduce it further. If you know, for example, that a lot of your money goes toward eating out, maybe you can commit to not eating out for one weekend a month, or, something like that. Or instead of eating out at work, if you're still working and not yet retired, to maybe packing your lunch instead of, going out for lunch or ordering out for lunch every day at work, things like that. But think about, you can do smaller no-buy periods and, like I said, kind of limit what that looks like. But again, it could be a way not only to reduce your spending, but it also can make you aware of when and how you're spending. Okay, let's see. Okay, that was number 11. Number 12, track your spending. Now, I've talked about this in other videos, and I highly, highly recommend it. I started tracking my spending, literally everything I spend before I retired, because first of all, I wanted to make sure I was conscious of how much I was spending and that I could really make my retirement work from a financial perspective. I am continuing to track my spending in my retirement. And, I am, again, continuing to track everything because I want to make sure that I stay on budget and that I'm conscious of how much I'm spending, because it can creep up so easily. Just on random things, you can end up spending, 50, 100, 200, 300 or more dollars above your budget before you even realize it. It can truly, with the cost of living these days, it can truly creep up so fast. So I highly encourage tracking your spending so you know exactly where your money is going. And I break it down into categories, like how much am I spending on my electric bill, my water bill, my grocery bill, gas for my car, and then, eating out. And, so break it down into categories so you can really see where your money is going. Okay, that was number 12. Number 13, there are 6 questions that I recommend you ask yourself before you make a purchase. Now, I'll qualify this. This applies to unnecessary spending. If it's something that's a necessity, that's a whole different category. You got to do what you got to do. But I'm speaking specifically to unnecessary spending. Okay, so the first question is this within my budget? If the answer is no, well, That's probably your answer, and you can just stop right there. You don't even need to go to the rest of these questions. But okay, let's say it is within the budget. Okay, number 2, will I get a lot of use out of this item? Okay, question number 3, do I already have something at home that serves the same purpose? Maybe what I have at home is not shiny and new and have lots of buttons and bells and whistles, but do I have something at home that's already serves the same purpose? Okay. Number 4, will this really enhance my life? Do I see this item bringing me joy, bringing a smile to my face, whatever, for the long term? Or is it likely that in 6 months to a year, this item's probably going to end up in a closet or a drawer or something, and I probably won't be using it anymore. And number 5, could or should this money go toward another goal, financial or personal goal that I have for myself that's really more important to me than this particular item? So that could be anything from, is one of your goals trying to, build up your savings account, or maybe pay off debt, or, maybe there's a dream vacation you want to go on. Could that money go towards saving up for that vacation? Or maybe there's a home improvement project that you want to do. Could this money go toward that, or something that would bring you more happiness, more joy, and more security for the long term than making this purchase right now? And, with this, I also think about, as far as things that you want to save for, say it's a vacation or home renovation or something like that, ways to keep those things in mind is, maybe put a Post-it note or print out a picture from, the internet or something about what it is you want to achieve. Maybe say if you want, to get to a certain amount in your savings account. Well, put a Post-it note on your bathroom mirror, on the refrigerator, or something like that with that amount written on it, to remind yourself of what your bigger goal is. To think. So little reminders like that make us, again, more aware and more conscious, more intentional about where our money is going. Okay, question number 6, and for me, I consider this a big one. Will purchasing this negatively impact my ongoing financial peace? So is it going to maybe, make me happy in the moment to spend this, but is it really going to negatively impact me over time? And am I going to regret this, down the road, or even, by the time I get home? But is it going to negatively impact my financial peace over the long term? Okay. Now, with all of these questions, I really encourage you to be honest with yourself. I have a family member actually who, and she says this jokingly. She's like, give me a topic. I can justify anything. And again, she's joking, but we do that, especially when it comes to spending. We justify why we should go ahead and spend. Oh, I'm too tired to fix anything to eat at home, so I'm going to go out to eat. Oh, I've had a bad day, so I'm going to treat myself. Or anything like that. We find ways. We can talk ourselves into just about anything if we try. So be honest with yourself and be thoughtful about, are you trying to justify something that you don't really need? Okay, that's the end of my list for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have found this helpful. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. But otherwise, I hope you're all doing well. I so appreciate you visiting my channel, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.